Okay, let's see how this goes, right? So we'll see if this is going to be a win or a lose. 50! 50! Okay. Alright. Wow. Mechty the lolly. Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here. Welcome back to another Girls Frontline 2 video. Let's talk about Mechty and let's talk about whether or not you should be pulling her, and of course to give you guys a little bit of build guide as well, because there's going to be more of these questions that a lot of players are asking, especially when new banner comes in. Now again, just a quick recap, some of you guys might not be aware that we have a live stream about 2 to 3 weeks ago, right? And this was announced in regards of what is going to happen after Mechty, the next character that will announce.
Just mentioned, could that be?
As you can see, these are going to be the 3 characters that is going to basically occur after Mechty. Now we don't know the order yet. We don't know if it's going to be Vector after, we don't know if it's going to be Yuhi after, or is it going to be Zhao Hui. Now that is going to be where the complication comes in. If you are looking as a free-to-play player, you're looking to like get the best out of your resources, Vector is going to be better than Mechty. Alright, that's going to be the best answer that I can give you right now. Vector is going to be better. However, we don't know if Vector is coming right after Mechty. Now if you can only pick one, I would pick Vector. Now if you can pick both, I would highly recommend to pull one copy of Mechty and then to get Vector as well later on. For any of you guys who have limited resources, if you can only pick one, I get it, right? The best way for now is just to wait. Wait until about 2 weeks time, they're going to announce which character, which one of these is going to come after Mechty. Now for Yuhi and Zhao Hui, they're definitely way more skippable compared to Vector, so definitely that's something to consider as well. So hopefully that's going to answer the question regarding or not whether you want to pull for Mechty straight up right now. Now with that, let's talk a little bit more about her weapon, because this is going to be something that also players are definitely going to ask a lot. Now it is going to be a decent weapon. If you're a hardcore Gunsmoke frontline player, get this weapon. Alright, this weapon is going to give you, as you can see, all corrosion damage dealt by allied units is increased by 10%. Now Mechty's purpose is going to basically fit in the corrosion team as a main supporter alongside with Peritia and Kluking. Now this 10% is going to improve those two's damage even more. So right now these 3 are pretty much the only corrosion meta character, right? Later on in CN or in the future, if we have more characters, then I think this particular weapon, the Daydream, is going to have more value. For now I would say the value is like if you're a hardcore player, definitely get it. 10% is 10%, right? But for a lot of free-to-play players, you can get away with not having that 10%. If you're getting like 4,000 points in your Gunsmoke and you're happy with that, then stay with that, right? Now if you don't pull for the weapon, which is going to be the next best weapon that you can pull for, there's right now in this particular one, you can also try to obtain the G11. So this is going to be the standard weapon. You do have 75% chance to get this. As you can see, damage is increased by 5% when attacking targets with corrosion debuffs. Alright, maximum of 2 stacks. This is going to be pretty decent, but a golden melody is also going to be a very good alternative. That is going to be Chongju's exclusive weapon. This is going to be the one. This one is going to be quite good on Mechty. Alright, increase damage by 10%. When gaining buffs, increase damage dealt by the next support attack by 10%. Now Golden Melody is going to be, of course, the better weapon, right? You can swap around. Most likely, most of the time, you're not going to put Chongju and Mechty in the same team, usually. So you can swap the weapons around in Gunsmoke Frontline if you guys are not aware already, right? So that's going to be something that you can basically do. This is going to be the one of the best alternatives if you're looking for a alternate weapon for Mechty. Now let's talk about building her then. Alright, how do you build Mechty as a whole? And what is the team composition that you're gonna see Mechty being used around a lot? Now first things first, she is going to not require dupes. Her best dupe is going to be on V6. Now keep that in mind. Unless you are willing to go all the way, everything else from V1, V2 is just not going to basically do much, right? V2 basically just basic attack deals more damage, reduce the attacker's attack and stuff. None of these are particularly that strong, but V6 is where you can see corrosion damage dealt by all allied units increased by 25%. Alright, this is where it gets super crazy. Yes, if you're looking to buff, you know, because her role is a supporter, right? She's pretty much a supporter in a corrosion based team. If you are looking for that, then go for it, right? But that's very, very expensive. I would say just save for most players, right? Don't need to go all the way to V6, right? That's just a little bit crazy. But if you're a whale, you want to do that, go ahead. Now, in terms of the keys, alright, Mechty's keys are going to be, now I recommend this one, alright, this is going to be a very good one. If any weakness is exploited, apply Toxin Inundation. This is going to basically increase corrosion damage taken by 25%. Something that's very, very good in the team. Now this one, you don't really need this as much. This is going to give her a random buff. But remember, Mechty is much more of a supporter. She's not really a damage dealer. Sure, you can basically get her damage up if you build her with a lot of stats like crazy, but in most cases, you're not gonna need this as much, right? So I would highly recommend getting this one. Now for the second node, you can see there's this one. Active skill, Dreamquake applies acid corrosion too. Now this one is useful if your Kluke is not V3. Alright, Kluke with V3 has the defense reduction, minus 30%, but if your Kluke is not V3, if you have a V2 Kluke, V1 Kluke, or V0 Kluke, then this is going to be a very good one. Alright, you can put this just so you can have this 30% and then, you know, get this for 2 turns, right, against large targets, usually bosses and stuff. And then it's going to be this particular one, the next one. When you use active skill, Dreamless Night, that's going to be her second skill, alright? Generates toxic mist tiles within 2 tiles around the closest enemy for 2 turns. Now this one is going to basically inflict corrosion weakness, alright? Not bad, pretty decent overall. Now if you have a V3 Kluke, then you just get this one. You get this one as well, and then the third one you go with this particular one. Alright, so this one is basically before you use the basic attack, cleanse 2 buffs from the target. So you basically can use this to cleanse any buff that the boss may have. Now keep in mind, if you are using Mechty with Kluke and Peritia, most of the time Peritia is also going to have that debuff cleanse. You can basically have 2 cleanser. That means you can rotate much easier between one or the other, right? Now this one, it reduces Mechty's damage taken, which is cool and all, but you don't really need this in particular, right? For now, this is going to be something that you can skip this in most cases. So how should you build Mechty then, right? So in terms of a build, it's very simple and very straightforward. It will be how you build your Kluke. Alright, it's going to be exactly the same. They are both using a assault rifle as well. So you want to give them corrosion boost, alright, in terms of the attachments. Alright, corrosion boost, and in terms of the substats, just go full DPS. Alright, you want crit rate, crit damage, attack boost, and attack flat, right? This is going to give them the best out of everything. Alright, this is going to make them even stronger. I have decent substats on my Kluke, but definitely Mechty I'm still farming for now. That's going to be something to consider. And make sure you are doing that for Peritia as well. So once Peritia and Mechty is going to pair up, so therefore you're going to be able to obtain that corrosion boost even more. Alright, so let's talk about team composition. How should you use Mechty in terms of rotation and stuff, and also where does she fit in, right? So again, Kluke and Peritia is going to be the fixed character. Alright, these two are going to be pretty much consistently, you use them together in a team, right? Kluke, Peritia, and Mechty. So these three are going to be your corrosion, basically trio, and you're not going to split them apart. They are going to always fit in a team. Now, obviously, Mechty doesn't really heal, alright? So you are going to need some sort of a character that can provide you with that. You can either put a Swami in this team, depending on or not, whether you need her, and then you can also consider, I guess Centauri C can also fit here. Not too bad, but ideally Centauri C makes sense for you to put her in a burn team, right? Because she's going to be a burn sort of buffer in a way. But Swami makes sense, alright? In most cases, if you're running 2 teams, she can fit in here just well. Now, if you don't have Swami, something like Cheetah or Ksenia, someone that can heal just to be able to give you a little bit of sustain, alright? Ideally, that's going to make the most sense. Now, sometimes you can also get away with not having heal. You can just bring someone like Sabrina, right? Sabrina can basically do a lot of tanking for you in most Gunsmoke situations. That's going to be something to consider. But for like most like beginner to intermediate players, Swami is just so good, and it's going to give you that much more comfortable pacing for you to be able to enable everything. Now, the last one, you can either put like a Macchiato, she's pretty flexible. You can also put Dian, she's pretty flexible as well. So these are all flexible characters depending on the situation, or Papasha as well. Depending on the boss you fight depending on who you need. In CN, you're going to see the theme of mixing corrosion with hydro. Alright, so in most cases in CN, once Springfield comes out, they use this corrosion, 3 of them, with Tololo and Springfield. That's going to be something that you will see later on as well, because you have hydro and corrosion in one team, and then you have the burn team separately with Vector, Cheongju, Shakri, those things separately in the other team, right? Now obviously, we're not going to have Springfield for a while more, so probably you're going to stick with Suomi in this team for the foreseeable future, right? Okay, so let's show you guys in this battle, and let's talk a little bit more about rotation, about Mechty, how you want to use her ideally. Now to be honest, Mechty's rotation is pretty simple, alright? It's not that complicated. You want her for her passive, alright? She has this passive where you can see right here. Alright, I'm going to click on this one. At the start of the battle, Mechty enters Patch Mode and applies Nightmare Form to allied units. Now Patch Mode is something that she applies on herself, but the Nightmare Form that she applies to all allied units, that's going to be what's the most important, right? You can see right here, what is Nightmare Form, alright? Basically, all allies are going to get this. AoE damage dealt is increased by 10%. Again, that's very beneficial to both Kluke and Peritia. AoE damage dealt by support attacks increased by 50%. That is going to be insane for Peritia because Peritia do a lot of support attacks. AoE support attacks damage type is changed to corrosion damage. Therefore, your Peritia support attack, which is usually going to be physical most of the time, now you have Mechty, it becomes corrosion. So therefore, you want to farm corrosion boost for Peritia. Peritia is always going to do corrosion attack right now. As you can see, if I click on either Peritia or Kluke, you can see they get this, right? The Nightmarish form. This one lasts the entire battle. So as long as Mechty is there, her passive skill is already doing a lot of wonders for the team. What she do afterwards doesn't really matter that much, because this is what you just need her to be there, right? Her presence as a whole, alright, in this particular passive skill. Ultimate skill, alright, you can see very complicated. Deactivates Patch Mode. Basically, damage taken reduced by 30%. This is for herself. Enters Turbo Mode. So this is going to improve Mechty's DPS, attack, and defense increase by 30%. I have no idea why you would want this, but she is able to do a little bit of damage with that, right? Now she is going to apply Nightmarish Shroud to all allied units. This one, nobody cares about this, to be honest, right? Unless you are super underleveled. In most cases, this is just going to basically give you damage reduction, you can see, and also damage taken is reduced by 30%. So in most Gunsmoke situation, the boss is not going to do much damage to you, right? So this one is like whatever, you're going to reduce the damage even more. Maybe it can be good enough for you to not bring healers, alright? If you want to bring healer, sure, right? This could be useful, but in most cases it's like whatever, right? But what is important is going to be this one. Inflicts Toxic Inundation to the closest enemy for 1 turn. So you want to go Mechty first, use your ultimate first so you can apply this particular one. This one is a debuff that makes enemies' corrosion damage taken increase by 25%. Okay, so you want to go with that for Mechty. So we're gonna go nearest to this guy. So remember, the nearest character to me is this enemy right now. I'm gonna use my ultimate. Alright, zoom, drink the energy can, whatever, zoom. Okay, so now you can see there's one debuff on this enemy. Alright, it's only this enemy that will get this debuff, and that is going to be this one, Toxic Inundation. Corrosion damage taken is increased by 25%. Obviously, if you're fighting one boss only in battle, you just use the ultimate, you get this. So always use ultimate whenever you can, and always try to do this afterwards, right? Now once you do this, you can go with Kluke. Usually Kluke is going to be the best one. She is going to basically be able to apply the defense reduction again. This is if you have V3 Kluke and above, right? V3 Kluke and above, you go with Kluke first. Even if you have below V3, it's still better to go Kluke first, because Peritia support attack is going to basically reduce the cooldown of the ultimate skill. So I can do this, I can click here. Alright, so I should be able to... Unfortunately, the enemies here are very weak. They are showcasing this stage. So Peritia is not able to... Oh wait, look at that, Peritia is doing corrosion boost, right? So now I can move again. I'm going to move here and do this, alright, with Kluke. So yeah, I usually go with Mechty, then Kluke, then Peritia. So that is pretty much going to be your rotation. So now we're going to move Peritia here. It is going to be a little bit difficult, but we're going to do this. Use ultimate skill. Of course, with Peritia, you can either use ultimate or second skill. Now after you use Mechty's ultimate skill, alright, you go and use the second skill afterwards. Makes a lot of sense. Now what does the second skill do? Second skill is going to improve Peritia's damage. Alright, you can see, applies Dream Guardian to all allied units. So make sure your Peritia is near her. This is going to increase your AoE, damage dealt by support attacks, by 30%. Alright, so this is going to be very important for Peritia. Maybe Nemesis as well, if you have her as well, this is going to increase that. Generates Toxic Mist. Again, it's more like a corrosion weakness thing. And we gain 1 stack of Sleep 8 kit for 2 turns. This is going to increase our damage dealt. Again, this is like whatever for us, right? So we can do this right here, right? So you can see the 3 characters within nearest to us will be able to get that stuff. Okay, so now assuming if let's say I'm fighting a boss and the boss is still alive, now you can decide if you want to skill 1 or basic skill afterwards. You don't have to use the second skill every turn. The second skill you only need to use it every 2 turns, because you can see the Dream Garden right here lasts for 2 turns, right? So don't use this every turn. Don't spam that, right? So that is going to be Mechty's rotation, pretty much simple, straightforward, nothing crazy right there. Okay, so with that, let's talk about one last thing. I think a lot of you guys are going to also ask me this particular question. Is Dian worth pulling for? Because alongside with Mechty, Dian is also right there available in a banner. So the question is going to be about if you are planning to get Yuhi or not, because right now Yuhi is going to be the ballistic physical supporter and Dian is a physical character. So she is a pretty strong, I would say she's a solid character, maybe like A tier. Yuhi is going to improve her even more. Now if you intend to get Yuhi later on, like I mentioned, Yuhi is going to be this character that appears alongside with Vector, Zhao Hui, right? Yuhi is going to be a supporter for most physical units, then you know you can consider pulling for Dian. Else I wouldn't really bother. If you don't plan to get Yuhi, you only want to get Vector, which is going to be the recommended for most players. 90% of the players should definitely get her. Zhao Hui, definitely a skip. But if you can afford to do that, then sure, Dian can be a good fit for your team, and you can build a team surrounding Dian, Yuhi, and maybe other physical characters in the future. But else, I would say for most players, you don't really need Dian, right? Just build a Tololo, build your Chongju, build Shakri, and you have enough, more than enough assault rifle DPS characters for the timing. So yeah, that's my advice pretty much. With that being said, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular video. If you guys haven't already subscribed, give this video a like and let me know if you guys have any other questions in the comment section below. As per usual, I'll see you guys again very soon. I'll be streaming shortly in Twitch later. If you guys want to tune in, you can come in and say hi and, you know, ask me any questions related to the game. As per always, subscribe, give this video a like, have a nice day, goodbye!